We've walked through sunshine, we stood in rain. We've danced in joy and we've wept through pain. Through every valley, through every climb, a love eternal stands the test of time. Faith, fun, and forever love, built on grace sent from above. Through storms that shake, through skies that clear, His hand has held us year by year.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Hello, hello, hello.
It's good to be back on this first Monday in May 2026.
It is May.
Yeah, the calendar is
What the
flying
heck?
by.
How did it get to be May?
Hopefully y'all are hanging in there.
Today we're red and orange.
Is that orange?
Mm-hmm. But
It
it's
looks
close
like
enough.
red and
It's
red
close
to
enough.
me.
It's
but,
close enough.
But maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me or something.
It's close
like
enough.
that.
All right. So he is Bill. I'm Michelle.
Right. That's
And his phone
yeah.
just never stopped ringing, which is why we're talking about mind over our marriage this month.
Mhm.
We are in Mental Health Awareness Month. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we are going to talk about how mental health has an impact on our marriage. Today, we're starting with the truth about burnout. Because, baby, burnout is real.
Or you ain't talking about like a burnout, like when I'm on a motorcycle and gun it, let off the clutch. You're not talking about that kind of burnout?
That could be. How many times have you done that?
On
None.
purpose. On purpose? Not one. Have I done it by accident? Yes.
Right. And then it's the same kind of burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Exactly.
Dangerous. All right. So let's be clear. It doesn't mean that you don't love each other. It means that you're tired. Sometimes you're frustrated. Exhaustion can change the sound of love. I'm going to say that again. Exhaustion. You know, you're running like a well-oiled machine. If you're coming out the mufflers, loop, 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 loop. That's where Harley sounds. Loop, 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 loop.
It does.
Okay.
And you can hear it quite a while.
But exhaustion might make you be like a loop, a loop. What is literally
You got some bad gas?
Yeah, it changes the sound. So when you're burned out, exhaustion can change the sound. And unfortunately, sometimes the flavor of love.
Yeah.
Right?
Somebody thinks something is wrong with your marriage, but what's really happening is that you are depleted. What are you depleted of? When you start to look at that, your tone, what am I saying? How am I saying it? And it may not be what you're saying, it's how you're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all been there. We've all had those exchanges where it was like, no, it wasn't really what you said. It was just how it came across. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it may not necessarily be how they said it. It's how I perceived it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Your patience gets a little bit short. So you're a little snippy, snappy.
Right.
Your affection is lower. So I don't, I'm tired. I don't want to hug you. I don't want you to be all up in my space. Go over there and sit down. Okay. Your irritability rises and your intimacy suffers. It's not always a love problem. Sometimes it is a capacity problem.
Right.
Huh. Do you have capacity problems?
Sometimes, but I mean, I'm kind of different on that. I know I agree with 100% of what you're saying, but I firmly believe that people make time for what they want to. I really firmly believe that. And so honestly, I mean, I kind of look at it as, okay, if we were supposed to meet at such and such and you couldn't make it. Okay. Obviously I wasn't that high on the priority. So at that point, I'm just telling you this is how I feel. So at that point, I mean, I'm going to shift, because if I'm not high on your priority, then I need to keep it pushing.
I agree. But I think sometimes that's true. And sometimes we have just overscheduled our time. And I'll give you a case in point. Case in point is that sometimes we are scheduled to be someplace, right? Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be at XYZ. We're supposed to be on broadcast at 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you think that you can do more stuff in this amount of time than you can actually get it done. And so you're like, oh, I'm coming, but I'm going to do XYZ before I get there. That doesn't mean that I didn't value what I was doing. It just means that I didn't calculate my time well. Mm-hmm. And so I'm out here doing this, and this before I go and do whatever I'm supposed to do.
That could be true. Unfortunately, I passed that trait on to my son. He has that same trait, 100%. I would agree because I'm always thinking I can squeeze in one thing more,
and it don't work.
And sometimes it doesn't work. And so by the time you get to where you like, even case in point this morning, I had a meeting that started at 10 o'clock, and I'm picking up paint for a job at 9:20.
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong, I made it to the meeting on time, but was I truly prepared? In this case, I was, because I've been planning for it for a few days. But so burnout can look like in marriage, doesn't look like dramatic things. Sometimes it just looks like short responses, saying I'm fine when you're really not. And for me, it's probably not me saying I'm fine. It's well, just don't worry about it then.
Yes, that is your favorite line.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say just don't worry about it, which means I ain't gonna bother you with it no more. I'm gonna take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Which doesn't mean, and sometimes that shutdown, you're shutting down, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't going to do it. It doesn't mean, I'm the person that's going to ask 60 million questions. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
It is a shutdown. It is. I would agree. It is a shutdown. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And sometimes maybe it's a shutdown because from a masculine perspective, I don't have time to explain all of this when I can just go do it and be done. I'm just talking from the male perspective. And for most guys, that's probably somewhat true. But the other one can be going quiet, snapping over small things, feelings.
Again, it's not about the toilet or the toilet paper.
Right.
It's really something else.
Right. Feeling touched out. I don't really know what that means, but feeling talked out where you just don't want to talk no more.
It's touched out just means that I don't want you to touch me anymore. You don't like me. You don't like to be, you don't necessarily love to like hold hands and
I don't mind.
Touchy-feely
Here's the truth of the matter. I don't mind holding hands. I don't mind being touched. But my thing is, okay, if we're going to touch, if we're going to hold hands, if it's going to lead to something, I don't want to just be doing it publicly when it might lead to something privately. But if we know it's not going to lead to nothing privately,
okay,
then why am I
time
doing
out.
it publicly?
Go back. Holding hands and touching does not have to lead to crap.
It doesn't have to, but it does have opportunity to lead.
It does have opportunity, but you cannot hold a person's hand. You cannot hug them. You cannot do the things that fill their love tank. And then if I'm on empty, it takes a lot to fill that up.
Okay.
So I can't so I'm not, one holding hands doesn't necessarily mean that you fill the tank.
Right. But my thing is, but if we are holding hands, if we are touching and all of that, then what I don't want to see is a hard stop. In other words, I'm gonna hold your hand, we're gonna touch, we're gonna rub, we're gonna do all this wonderful stuff. But I got a hard stop. You just don't know about it. And so now we're getting close to the hard stop. Now you got to go do something else. What I'm saying is, if it leads to whatever it leads to, let it lead to it.
If it leads to anything.
If it leads to anything, but don't pre-factor in hard stops. That's my thing.
I think you just don't need to pre-factor in that there's going to be some.
No, you don't need to pre-factor that in either. Okay, well, I'm gonna agree with you on that. But another one is that leads to burnout is feeling like needed by everyone. Everybody's pulling on you, and man, that can really drain you, especially just in marriage and in life in general.
Well, it depends on what your job is. Sometimes your job can be like uber demanding.
Right. Because at the end of the day, you don't have and you shouldn't have the answers for everything. That's ego tripping. When you think you got the answers for everything, you ego tripping, because guess what? You really don't.
Nobody does.
So but those are dangerous parts of burnout and what burnout can feel like. It can almost feel like resentment.
You can't, and if you're honest, sometimes you can resent the fact that, especially when you're having to be all things to all people, when you feel like you have to be all things to all people, you can resent that space and, that whole having to have the answers and all of that. So one of the things that we really talk about with couples is start thinking about your answers. Why am I irritated with the person I love? Like, hey, you just asked me, hey, did you lock the front door? That's a good one for me because I always leave the door open. I always forget. Well, it's because where you go out the door and where the other door is, you can't see them.
Yeah,
And so sometimes I forget.
You just miss it.
And so I could be mad because he said, hey, you left the front door unlocked.
Open, rather.
And you went to the store and you came back. I went to the store. I came back. Door was open. He was like, hey, you left the front door open. I could have been irritated about that. I could have been, oh, you always, but why? Okay. But if I was at a place of burnout, if I was at a place of resentment, if there was already stuff stacked on top, that little statement could have blown up into a whole argument in a way that it didn't need to happen. Okay. So I've got to do some self-evaluation. Is it me or is it him? Because sometimes it's literally just me. Okay. Why does if everything is so annoying, I have to ask myself, why am I annoyed about everything? Why am I cussing at the person that's driving down the street, right, kicking the dog and, wishing bad because it's raining and, just irritated? Why? Now, if you're a person of a certain age, you might need to get your hormones checked. And that's men and women, because baby, brothers be having a midlife crisis too. So everybody of a certain age need to get your hormones checked and make sure everything is good. Okay. So that's one of those things, if you're always constantly, annoyed, constantly on edge. The other thing too is looking at, I'm going to always look at the health things, get your hormones checked, but also look at, am I diabetic? Am I pre-diabetic? Am I, did I get enough water? Am I eating enough? All of those things are things that we have to think about and have as a factor for us as we age, because some of those things will make us bonkers. Okay. Why do I feel disconnected or less connected in certain ways from my spouse? Those are all things that I have to look at. I can't necessarily say, oh, you're doing this to me or you're doing that. I have to know what my part is. What am I doing? Where am I connected? What walls have I put up that are not allowing us to be in this space together? The answers might not be distance. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. It might be that, I'm literally just exhausted. I'm tired. I remember growing up, one time I don't know what my grandpa was asking me to do. And I was like, do it yourself. And he was like, come here. He was like, if you tired, take a nap. If you got a headache, take a pill. If you hungry, get some food. But don't you ever yell at me again. Now, here's the thing. There are some times when we are irritated because we need to take a nap, because we need to have a good lunch. We need to, there are some things we need to do. And so I tell you that you need to take the time to know what's going on with you. This is not about romance. This is not about any of that stuff. This is literally about taking inventory of what is happening in your body. Are you sleeping well? If you don't sleep well at night, you're going to wake up and you're going to be a grumpy bear. You just are. Your body needs that restoration time. So make sure you're doing those things.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, it could be that you just got a stank attitude.
It could be.
I don't know how else you want me to put it. Your attitude is foul.
It could be.
right? Now
But there's a reason
but there could be
why.
things that contribute to that, and I
You
agree
don't
100%.
just
The,
have a foul
the first thing
attitude.
you need to do is evaluate yourself. Is it the situation? Is it the circumstances, or am I just tripping?
Mm-hmm.
And then, based upon what you discover, sometimes you don't need to answer all those questions yourself because you'll conclude the wrong answer. But based on what you discover, then make the necessary adjustments. Sometimes, you have to inform people, hey, look, I'm frustrated right now. Now, I will say that. I will come home and tell Mark, hey, I'm just frustrated right now. So that means that I'm still, unfortunately, carrying the weight of whatever happened in my day.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to take it out on her. So I need to alert her to the fact that right now I'm still frustrated, right? And it's okay to do that. It's okay to tell your spouse that, because they need to know that they are not the source of the problem.
Right.
Right.
But they also don't need to be the brunt of
but
the...
that's why I say, that's why now if your spouse tells you I'm frustrated right now, here's a little bit of advice. Leave them alone.
Hit that part.
Jesus. I just told you. Right? I mean, yeah, straight up. Give them some space. Give him or her some space, right? Because in all truthfulness, a lot of strong couples can be silently suffering.
Yeah.
Silently going through, especially if you serve in any kind of capacity, whether it's ministry or in the community or a combination of all the above. If you run a business, if you're raising kids, if you're caring for senior aging parents, or if you have to show up everywhere, every place, all the time, and you collapse privately, or you collapse privately in your home with your spouse. But couples don't have to fall apart loudly. Sometimes you just drift apart.
Well, and I think the problem is that when you're high profile, when you're at a place where everybody is watching you, and you don't feel like you can just breathe, you don't feel like you can crack, you don't feel like, hey, if everything's not right, I can't let people know that. And so the hard part about being high profile is you're human, and you're struggling just like everybody else is, but it's hard to find the places that you can get and the people that you can just say,
trust and relax.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's hard to just say, hey, you know what, I'm struggling right now, or this is not right, or, girl, my head is not right. I mean, you got to have that person.
Yeah, you need some friends that you can unload or offload on, and they'll give you great advice, or advice to the best of their ability. Everything that happens in your marriage, everything that you're dealing with as a human being, individually and collectively, doesn't have to be shared with everybody. It especially don't have to be shared on Facebook or any other social platforms. Okay, you need to have somebody that you can go to lunch with, or you can pick up the phone with, and have a conversation, and know that conversation begins and ends with them. All right.
Yeah.
So and when you find that person, you need to cherish that person, because those people are far and few between. All right. Now,
I think the other piece too is that when we think about that whole sandwich generation, the fact that we're having kids, caring for older parents, we're
sandwich generation.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Oh my God, they got a term for everything. I need to be the person responsible for coming up for these terms.
Yeah, it's
a multi-millionaire.
It's a sandwich. You're in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You're the meat. Because your kids are on one side and your parents are on the other. You're in the middle. This is sandwich generation. So those of us that are at the age where our kids are grown, but we still are at the age where we could have kids. We just don't have anymore. And at the place where aging parents. And so that can become a stressor. For us, we're a little bit past that, but that's still one of those things that you have to really look at. Burnout is a weakness. At the end of the day, high professionals, people in all avenues of life, hit that wall. And that's what I call it. Hit the wall. I've hit it several times. Hit it in, when I was teaching, I hit it. And baby, after that, I was like, you know what? I got to go, because I'm gonna be in an orange jumpsuit and it's not gonna be the one I choose to be in. So,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to know when your limits, you have to know when you've reached your capacity and when you've got to go and shift and do something else and move into a new season. That burnout is your nervous system saying, I've been in survival mode. And here's what I want you to do really quickly. We're almost done. I just want you to do this.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yes.
Oh.
Do it. Let it out. Now, here's the thing. Most of us don't realize how many times through the course of a day that we are holding our breath. We are tense. We are tight. We are wound up so much that our body is shaking, or we are losing thoughts. We're losing parts in our mind. And part of it is because we are in this thing called survival mode. And sometimes we have been living in it so long, we don't know what it feels like to just take a breath. Okay. So love starts sounding like frustration. It starts sounding like another job. It starts sounding like more work. It starts sounding like, we're doing all of these things, yet I can't satisfy you. And so those are things that we have to really look at. And those are signs that we are in a place of burnout. Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not grow weary of doing good. And then it goes on to say, for in good due season, we will reap if we faint not. But I want you to be conscious and conscientious of that first part. Don't get sidetracked. Don't get upset. Don't get angry as you're pouring out that maybe you don't necessarily get as much in as you put out. Because sometimes that's where our frustration lies. We've been giving out, we've been doing things, we've been helping others, yet I'm sitting here at this place of frustration, this place of burnout, this place of emptiness, and I don't have that feel. And so that's what we have to really be conscientious of as we're working through our marriage.
Well, and sometimes when you burn out, it can really distort your perception, and you don't even realize what's going on. When you're burned out, neutral feels negative, right? A simple request feels like a demand. All of us have been there. A question feels like criticism, right? Silence feels like rejection, and most people don't like to be rejected. I mean, well, all human beings don't like to be rejected. Let's just call it like it is. I'm the kind of person that, I'm just not going to take rejection as well. And I'm going to eliminate the opportunity to be rejected. I'm not going to take L's well. Everybody takes L's. That's a part of life, right? But the ones that I can avoid, I'm going to avoid. Silence feels like rejection. You're not seeing clearly. You're just simply depleted, right? And so we have to do some mature things, right?
Yeah, and we have to really look at, as I look at what's happening, as I am evaluating where we are and what we're doing, how do I ask the right questions? It's not being accusatory. It's not being in a space where I am making the other person feel some kind of way. Because, you'd be like, oh, you've changed. Well, no, not necessarily, but maybe I have. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I'm just, I'm over, you don't see what's happening on my job, or you don't see what's happening in my hormones, or you don't see what's happening in my health. And I'm not really trying to tell you per se, because you won't necessarily understand it. I can't, depending on what your job is, it may be proprietary. So there's some things that you just can't talk about. Yet there are things that are on my heart. There are things that are in my spirit that if I don't have a way and a good outlet for them, that it will tank our relationship when it really isn't. And it may not necessarily be about our relationship. It may be about something that's happening in other spaces, but it comes to this, if that makes sense. So the question that we start to have to look at is, again, what is happening inside of me? What is my part in this? What am I doing to really look at me? So love work this week. Where am I most depleted right now? Am I tired in my body? Am I not sleeping well? Am I not getting good nutrition? Maybe I just been eating a whole lot of junk food and sugar, and you know, while a lot of that comfort food feels good to us, it's pleasurable. It hits all the pleasure spots in our brain. It sucks every bit of nutrients and every bit of nourishment out of our gut, and so we leave depleted. What drains me the most? Is it people? Are people filling me, or people draining me? And what am I doing? What is in our situation, in our marriage, what are we doing to fill each other's love tank? Because often we can be so focused on ourselves, we're not looking, what do I need to do? How can I help? What are some things that we can do for each other to fill each other's love tank? What restores me the fastest? Is it a hug? Is it a conversation? Is it is it water? What is it, the thing that restores me the fastest? And I don't mean drinking water. I mean being like at the lake or at the pond or at the whatever. So what restores me the fastest? Do you know? Let me ask you a question. Do you know what brings you joy and what you really like? Because often we like what we go back to Coming to America. I like what you like. Mm-hmm. Do you know what you really like? Okay. Eddie Murphy asked her, hey girl, what do you like? What movie do you like? I like what you like. No, girl, I need you to know what you like. Okay. And so that's the thing that you have to really figure out, because that's going to be what restores you. Okay. Share it with your spouse. Again, we're not trying to fix them. We're not trying to defend our station, our spaces. We just need awareness. I need to know what helps you be restored. We were out in the garden yesterday. Being outside is something that helps us both. And so how do we get out into the garden? How do we put our hands in the dirt? How do we, get into that space where we are being renewed? Okay. Awareness reduces misinterpretation. If I understand and I know, then I don't have the excuse to misinterpret your actions.
All right. My turn.
Is it?
I don't know. Lord, girl. That was a whole expose, but it was good stuff though. And we need to really fixate and focus on that. All right. So, I mean, ask yourself these questions, and out of you or your spouse, who feels stronger right now? And don't weaponize that by saying, well, I'm taking the grunt of this. No, support them, because it's your time to be in a support role. And very soon, it'll be their time to be in a support role for you. That's just how marriage works, right? It's give and take, 100%, 100%. All right, so just be aware of that. Don't weaponize it, but just be support, because seasons, ladies and gentlemen, seasons change, seasons shift. And that doesn't mean they shift on the calendar. They can shift overnight.
That's true.
Okay. So then
it's supposed to snow this week.
That's ridiculous. I got watermelons planted. Y'all talking about snowing. Come on, bro. All right. This month, listen, it's about building mental and emotional stability in your marriage. And tonight is simple. Before you diagnose your love, check your capacity. Okay. Before you make the diagnostic evaluation of who's right and who's wrong, check your capacity and check yourself first. Right. Because we are not in this thing to win the war. We are in this thing to be happily ever after, which means we win together. And I think we need to do away with the selfish idea that I'm going to win this one, you're going to win the next one, I'm going to give you this one, but I'm taking these next two. No. Let's just focus on winning together, right? Where we build strong minds, strong marriages, and lasting love. And most importantly, next week, we'll talk about emotional safety and regulations. What's a safe space to communicate in? What are safe words to use in your communication? Right? So until next time, keep building your relationship with faith, fun, and forever love.
Doggy style.
Yes.
See y'all next week.
Make lots of babies. Practice making babies.
Don't.
Thank you for watching, and make sure that you join us on YouTube and our webpage, Marriage Encounters with Bill and Michelle at Weebly.com.